Some harsh words from behind prison walls. The so-called godfather of county corruption cuts loose tonight on his former partners in crime. In an exclusive interview, disgraced ex-county commissioner Jimmy DeMora uses the words liar and devil to describe former power players he once called friends. Tonight, the investigator Tom Meyer with the explosive details in part 2 of our two-part report.
You're here to answer to the taxpayers.
Federal prosecutors say you acted like the godfather.
They had been the best of friends. DeMora.
How concerned are you about Frank Russo testifying against you, Jimmy?
Tom, I have no comment.
And Russo.
Are you working on cutting another deal to testify against DeMora?
Political allies who ran a criminal enterprise from their county positions of political power. No longer posing for pictures, now bitter enemies. DeMora lashing out from behind prison walls in an exclusive Channel 3 News interview.
Russo, he made a deal with the devil, and I'm not talking about the government. I actually mean Russo made a deal with the devil.
Prosecutors say it's the pot calling the kettle black.
I'm not an angel, but I'm no crook.
DeMora serving 28 years, one of the longest, if not the longest, public corruption sentences ever. Russo turned snitch and received a 22-year prison term and more time as a free man. Free to enjoy Cleveland nightlife and restaurants.
What's life been like for you since you admitted you were a crook 20 months ago?
I don't think you have to be that harsh with me.
Russo may have admitted to taking $1 million in bribes, steering contracts, and hiring political cronies, but because he cooperated with the feds, his sentence will likely be reduced. DeMora says it's a travesty of justice.
Really, Russo doesn't deserve to be resentenced. He should have to do the entire 22-year sentence. He admittedly stole taxpayers' dollars. He pressured employees for promotions to pay him bribes.
DeMora has maintained his innocence all along. He thought he could win a trial. He was wrong.
Why do you think you can still beat the feds?
You understand? No comment.
DeMora is still stewing over how his lawyers handled his case in federal court.
I'm guilty of making a bad choice of my trial counsel. I'm guilty of not following my gut to testify at my trial. My attorneys did advise me not to testify, which I do regret each and every day.
And I'll cooperate with them as soon as if they have any questions. I'll be happy to talk to them.
Let's not forget Kevin Kelly, the mid-level county employee who admitted to being a bagman for bribes. He agreed to turn on his buddies, DeMora and Russo, and help put them behind bars. For 4 years, the feds allowed him to live in sunny Florida before serving only 5 years behind bars.
Kelly could find the cure for cancer before he could tell the truth. He lied about so many things, I lost track.
DeMora has been fighting for his freedom since the very first day he was locked up. Now, if he does his entire 28 years, he'll be about 80 when he's set free. He says his fight to win back his freedom is what keeps him going. I'm the investigator, Tom Meyer.